My name is Trina White-Hamilton. I'm the exhibition curator with the exhibition Everyday Objects Transformed by the Conflict, which is a Healing Through Remembering project. Healing Through Remembering are an organisation made up of various different members from all different political perspectives, looking at ways to deal with issues to do with the past. The exhibition comes from a subcommittee group in Healing Through Remembering called the Living Memorial Museum Subcommittee. And they've been in operation for a number of years, but they've carried out a number of different types of projects to look at whether or not there should be a living memorial museum, and if there was a living memorial museum to the conflict, what kind of objects would be in it, and what would be written about the objects. What is it the right time for such a museum? Should there not be a museum of that kind at all? So different projects that they've worked on are things like the call out for ideas for a living memorial museum. They've done a number of trips to places like Berlin to see how they've dealt with conflict issues in museums, and also they carried out an artefacts audit to find out if there was a museum, is there actually objects that would go into the museum, and they find that there is over 250,000 objects out there in about 85 different collections, not just in Northern Ireland but throughout the UK and the Republic of Ireland as well. So this project, Everyday Objects Transformed by the Conflict, went and asked all the collectors that we found in the artefacts audit, would they submit an object to the exhibition. They were allowed to select their own object, and they were also allowed to write whatever they wanted about their object. So it's their interpretation, their story or their memory about that object, which is what the whole exhibition is all about. There's not one narrative of the conflict in this exhibition. It's about various different political perspectives, views and experiences. The Relatives for Justice quilt is made up of all different patches made by family members who have lost people during the conflict. So each patch on the quilt represents a person who died, and the patches are made up of sometimes clothes belonging to the people who died, but all made by maybe their mothers or the sisters or the fathers or brothers that had lost somebody. Okay, there's a lot of objects that were made by prisoners, so objects that they used to communicate to each other or to people on the outside, such as the pencil where the lead was removed and messages were inserted inside in the pencil and handed around throughout the Crumlin Road jail. Also we have objects that prisoners made, such as handicrafts, maybe tobacco tins. They also wrote lots of poems and songs that they used to campaign for, such as the protest song from Francie Brawley, and also the Captive Verses poetry book, which was made by loyalist prisoners, and that was used to raise money for their campaigns on the outside. Yes, there's lots of very ordinary objects in the exhibition, such as the bin lids, which a lot of people would remember were used mainly in nationalist areas by women, and they were hit on the ground as a sort of a warning system to let people know that the British Army was in the area. This project is part of engaging people and initiating conversations about whether or not there should be a living memorial museum, and if so, what are people's ideas and views on that. So we have a large feedback area in the exhibition, and we're hoping that people will tell us their ideas, engage with us here in the gallery space, and let us know what their ideas are for the exhibition, and whether or not they have their own stories that they'd like to contribute as well. And if they do, we have an online website and we can add stories to that all the time. I suppose the aim of it is to see if we can put on an exhibition which people are happy with, which they think represents views from all different types of people, and whether or not we're ready for a living memorial museum. We're here until the end of July. If you look up our website, healingthroughremembering.org, you'll find out all the details of our opening times. But the exhibition will be changing throughout the summer, and we'll be bringing in new objects and taking away some of the other objects. So if you want to come in a couple of times, the objects on display will all be different, and hopefully there's stories there that you'll be able to relate to.